Good morning, fabulous people. How is everyone doing? We are talking about portraiture today. One of my all-time favorite things to talk about. And I just noticed that I'm wearing the same exact shirt as in this picture here. That's a little weird. I'm going to call this my YouTube shirt. But thank you for joining me this morning. Oh my goodness. I'm so excited that you are here. And I am Tiffany Fox. If you have never joined me before and you've never been part of my world, I'm just grateful that you're here. This is live the Saturday after Thanksgiving. So people are busy. And if you have taken the time to listen to me talk about portraiture, then that is, in my book, just a really big compliment. So I appreciate you being here. If you are watching the replay, I appreciate you being here. And if you would please like my channel and subscribe, that would be great. There are other webinars on the channel, and they are geared toward drawing and painting and AP Studio Art and all kinds of things like that. So let's get started here and let's talk about some portraiture. This is just a very little bit about me. I am a certified K-12 art instructor. I spent 13 years at a suburban high school in North Carolina, just north of Charlotte. And fabulous job, amazing kids, amazing admin, everything about it was amazing. And all of the work that you are going to see in this presentation is my student work from my beginner courses. So I will explain that. This is my work. I am a portrait artist, and I am now located in South Carolina because my daughter is here and her new family is here. And my husband and I just wanted to be in on the action. So I am now a full-time curriculum designer. So when I'm discussing the portraiture unit today, it's my curriculum. You will see a QR code at the bottom of some of the pages on the latter end. That is a special offer that I have for the curriculum. And then at the very end, there's also a link. And if you're interested, whether it's my curriculum or somebody else's curriculum, the scaffolding curriculum really does work. And we're going to talk about that. So my website is mrstfoxresources.com. If you're thinking, I've never heard of this chick. What is her deal? This is your opportunity to check me out. So join my email list, all that good stuff. And I'm so grateful that you're here. So let's get started. Well, why isn't this guy advancing? That's so totally weird. All right, here we go. So today's context. Everything that we talk about today, we are going to talk about in the context of middle school and high school, although I have taught this as young as 9 years old. We are going to be talking about realism. So this is our context, for everything that we're talking about. Graphite pencil is our medium. And the method that we're going to be talking about is scaffolding the portrait process slowly through the features onto the final portrait. So instead of just throwing an initial reference of an entire face at the kids and just saying, okay, here we're going to break this down. And so the goal is that everybody is successful. I have an issue with only a few people having success in an art classroom. Personally, it's a personal issue of mine. It has always been a goal of mine to have everybody succeed. And so coming up with a scaffolded curriculum has made that possible. So that's just the method. But if you've never been with me before, that's just who I am and what we're all about. So why should we even scaffold techniques at all? What's the purpose? Why are we even talking about this? Drawing people is intimidating. All right. If you think drawing in general is intimidating, drawing people is terrifying. Okay. So what you'll often hear people say is, I love to draw, but I can't draw people. I can't draw a stick figure, all that stuff. But when kids come into my drawing class, I would say, what do you guys want to learn to draw? And they would say, we really want to learn to draw people. I'd love to draw, whether it's themselves or a hero portrait or something, they want to draw people, but they need time to get good. All right. You can't just throw the whole ball of wax at them at the same time. So a consistent scaffold no matter what you're teaching, anytime you break the process down and you approach the kids slowly so that they have time to gain their confidence and their skills, you're always going to get a better result. I can tell you that with 100% certainty, you will always get a better result. And kids who are confident are kids who are going to be invested in what's going on in your classroom and in working to their full potential. Because being good at something, no matter what it is people are invested in that. Like if they know they're going to walk in your room and whatever they're going to do is they're going to be successful at it, they're going to, number one, they're going to want to come in there and they're going to want to dig in. All right. I've seen it. I saw it over the course of 13 years. I probably saw it over the course of, 70, 80 classrooms, 70, 80 different sets of kids, always the same result. And the common denominator is the process and the curriculum. So the added bonus is that you get to come to work every day and not yank your hair out, that you get to come and see really cool things happen and be confident yourself in the process. And it's, you have to be there too. I always say to my educators when we're doing our PD, guys, we have to be in the room. You don't want to have the Sunday scaries every single night of the week. So this is just my universal law of nature, is if you're scaffolding skills and kids are successful, down goes the stress and up goes the confidence. So this was my experience when I started 13 years ago. Before I figured this scaffold thing out, before I figured any of this out, I went in and I was like, hey guys, we're going to do a portrait. And for us, it was this portrait with these crazy hats. So it was a hat theme I had going on. I mean, I didn't know what I was doing. And everybody got a hat and everybody took their picture and everybody got their paper and everybody started drawing. And this is what happened. A few of them that came in with skills, you know what I mean? That some of them do come in and they're already amazing. They did great. Probably 60% of the kids were just limping along. I was trying to just encourage and push and push and push. I was exhausted by the time it was over. The other 30% of the kids, my goodness, let's just say that they were destroying everything. I had broken pencils on the floor every single day. There is nothing more disheartening than when the whole classroom leaves and you have broken pencils on the floor. It's really disheartening. And I know we've all been there. So this probably sounds familiar to some of you. And I just sat down and I said, what's going on here? What am I going to do? How am I going to fix this? And I had already begun to scaffold some of my other curriculum. And then I said to myself, why is this any different? I need to come up with a scaffold. So my takeaway was I needed to slow down because, like I said before, everybody's anxious anyway about drawing. Drawing people's terrifying. And we already said the practice alleviates the anxiety and it builds up the confidence. And I wanted the kids to be invested. So I broke it way down. And I mean, way down. So this is just a little, I'm going to back up just slightly here. This is the overview of the way I teach drawing. So I was on an 18-week semester and I divided these 6 units into 6, like approximate 3-week units. And we started with some technique and some skill prior to even attempting people. All right. So this was once I got my act together and I decided everything needed a scaffold. I broke the whole entire semester. So if you're teaching like on a year, if you have a draw paint, you have like drawing in the fall and painting, this would work for your fall semester. Anything that you see in here where I'm giving you like, oh, they're going to do this, they're going to do negative space, drawing with shapes, noses, mouths, whatever. Of course, you would modify that to your own time frame. Some of you guys are on a period schedule. Some of you guys only see kids twice a week. So of course, this could be modified to your schedule. But we just started real basic. We do line, we do shape, we do negative space, value. That's where the portrait unit lines up. It falls right in the value unit. So no portrait until, 12 weeks into the semester. They have to have really good foundational skills. And then the high contrast and the colored pencil, that comes after, and those are totally different webinars. So this is the learning target. Okay, the learning target is the most important thing, because until you're going to teach them something, you have to know what you want them to learn, right? Well, what's the point? So this is just a little more of a breakdown as to what the learning target is for each of the units. So they have to understand how to scale up and use a quadrant. They have to understand how to build an object using shapes. They have to understand the space in and around objects for proportion and all of that stuff, scale. Then when they get to value and they understand how to add value, what is value? What's a full range of value versus a partial range of value? How do you draw something that looks realistic? All of those things happen with the foundation of units 1, 2, and 3 already built. So the confidence has already been on the upswing for the last, 9 weeks. Now we're into value. When you say to them, we're going to draw a portrait, they're calm, they're confident, and they trust you. All right. Because there's a scaffold in each one of these units. Not only is there a portrait scaffold, there's a scaffold in the line, there's a scaffold in the shape, there's a scaffold in the negative space. All of this is consistent scaffolding. So they're very comfortable with the process. They're comfortable with the fact that they're going to be good. They're comfortable with the fact that they're going to learn, because you've already proven it to them. You've proven yourself with these first 3 units. So when you get pushback from kids on things, number one, kids just like to complain. So don't take the pushback too seriously. They really do just like the sound of their own voice. But when you get real pushback, it's not because they don't think they can do it. It's because they've not been shown that they're capable of doing it, if that makes sense. So if you've already had success with the first 3 units, when you say to them, we're going to draw people, they're like, all right, whatever, like, we got this. So that's the whole point of the consistency in the scaffolding, is they know what to expect when they walk in the room. They know that they're going to get, they know what they're going to get. They know. So that's why I wanted to show you this, so that you could see the rationale. All right, here's my snooze factor advice. This, what was just talking about on the last slide, all of these guys right here, all of these units, are they exciting? No, they are not. In fact, you could probably slip into a pretty nice, good, solid coma in the beginning here, when they're just working the kinks out, when they're just understanding relationships, and they're understanding line, and they're understanding how a line travels, and all of that, how to build an object with shapes. For us educated artists, art educators, we are kind of tend to be like, oh my gosh, I want the razzle dazzle. I want the fabulous stuff that's going to end up with a big fat gold key on it from Scholastics. Okay, that's all fine and good, but remember, we want everybody to be successful. So is all of this stuff necessary for us to get to this stuff over here? You betcha it is. And the razzle dazzle will come. In fact, the razzle dazzle will come like an avalanche if you build those skills in the beginning. No house is going to stand on a poor foundation. So if you really get that rock solid foundation with the drawing skills and the working with the media and the shading and all of that stuff, this right here will just totally flow. And you're going to be amazed at what comes out of your classroom. So when we talk about portraiture and we talk about learning targets, what do we want them to learn? We want them to learn how to draw a realistic portrait. We already said we're dealing with realism in graphite pencil. We need them to read that reference photo. We also need them to know what a full range of value is and how to apply it. Now, this particular portrait lesson would not be the first thing I would teach in the value unit. The value unit starts with, just like every other media I teach, it starts with the sphere, so they can understand how to distribute the pencil. They understand how to create a soft edge and a crisp edge, and in a value transition. They are going to do a couple of little exercises. I have a webinar on my YouTube about teaching drawing, and you can find all of that information there. But they are going to work through how to manipulate the medium before we do the portraits. So just so you're not thinking, well, gosh, is this the first thing they do when they do value? No, it is not. And that little QR code down there, if you don't have time to stay to the end of the webinar, that is the portrait unit that is on sale today with, of course, whenever you're watching this, it's on sale, but that's the QR code in case you don't have time to stay through the end, which we are not going to be that much longer. And what we need kids to understand is that they can really draw people. All right. They can do this. Absolutely. Like I told you, these kids in these two pictures right here were 10th graders in a drawing one class, never drawn a portrait before. So you can do this and the kids can be successful. So here's my drawing logic. And this is what I like to say, no matter what medium I'm teaching, even if it's painting, there's no big secret here. All right. There's no big secret, especially when it comes to rendering things realistically. All you need to know is that everything we draw and paint is made up of shapes and values and edges. Okay. So a shape in this painting right here, this dark red shape right here, it has a value. It's a dark red. It's shaped like a half of an oval, and it has a soft edge on it because it's a ribbon that's reflecting light. So if that goes for anything, it doesn't matter if they're drawing people, if they're drawing origami, that ice cream, that paint blob, as long as they understand how to identify those shapes and read the reference photo. They need to understand how to read the shapes, the values, and the edges. Then they need to understand how to assign the value transitions and the edges with whatever medium they're using. In this case, we're using graphite pencil. So my foxism that I used to always say when I was in the classroom is all the information that you need is in that photo. So for a realistic portrait, this young lady, this is her drawing. Everything she needed was in that reference photo. And as long as she applied the shapes, the values, and the edges correctly, she would get a beautiful photo. When you break it down like that for kids and they go, oh, that's it, that's all there is, I would say, guys, there's no big mystery here. There is no, I wish there was. I wish I was letting some cat out of the bag, but I'm not. All right. So here is the portrait scaffold broken down. We always start with the eyes. Let me tell you why. People like to draw eyes, and when they draw them the way the kids will draw them using this curriculum with the video tutorial and, the references, there's so many references to choose from. This is where the big aha moment comes in. And if they get the victory here, which they will, moving to the other features before the final portrait is a piece of cake. They love it. They're invested, they're checked in, the buy-in is there, and they are ready to rock and roll. So we do the eyes first, then we do the noses, then we do the hair, and then we do the final portrait. And I used to not do hair. I used to think, oh, come on, everybody knows how to draw hair. Well, what would happen is we would go through the eyes, the noses, and the mouths, and then I would go straight to the portrait, and I would spend the next 2 weeks with people saying, I don't know how to draw my hair. I don't know can you show me how to draw this? Can you show me how to draw the curly hair? How do I draw the braid? So I'm like, okay, Tiff, come on, you found out you got to scaffold it, quit being lazy and add the hair in. Once I added the hair in, nobody ever asked me how to draw hair again. I'm not kidding you. It was amazing. And so I just had to follow my own advice. So for the practice features, you got a couple options. And this is all explained in the curriculum. You can either do the 9x12 inch, which I think I have one. Oh yeah, I think the one I'm showing you is right here. Yeah, that's it. You can either do the 9x12 paper, or you can do the worksheet. That's on the next slide. And the reason I had to come up with the worksheets was because we went on lockdown for COVID and I needed something the kids could print. I needed something that I could print and just stick in their folders. So necessity breeds invention. So you can either go with drawing paper or you can go with the worksheets. And this was just how I structured it. I found this to be the most effective. Everybody had to do 2 mouths, 2 noses, 2 mouths, 1 open, 1 closed. And then everybody had to do either 1 straight hair and a braided or a curly. So that was the requirements that I came up with. That gave the best success. Like I said, when I didn't have the hair, we just didn't have the same level of success that we had once I added that in. And all of this is a skill building, confidence building journey. And what we do is we set all of these up together. So I would, as the whole class, I would give everybody the paper, everybody the value scale. They would complete the value scale. We would do the little picture planes on the paper together, and then I would turn them loose to go ahead and draw. But there are so many references. I think there's like 80 references in the curriculum. It just, you don't have to do anything. I mean, I have done the hard work for you. So wait, did I go the wrong way? Let's see. Yes, I did go the wrong way. Okay, these are the worksheet options. All right, and there are several different worksheet options in the curriculum. So again, they're either going to do 2 eyes, 2 noses, 2 mouths. If you are on a shorter schedule or you have a more compressed time schedule, I would maybe even just go with 1 eye, 1 nose, 1 mouth, whatever's going to work for you. There's a video tutorial for every single feature. You could upload it to the online teaching platform, and then you could just let them rock and roll with it at their own pace. Whatever is going to work in your scenario is definitely, but this works. So then we get to the final portrait. Okay, the question, like I said before, is not, can they draw people? Okay, anybody can draw people. The question is, can they read that reference photo and correctly manipulate the graphite pencil to create the edges, the values, and the shapes to get the final portrait? So that's that is the ticket behind drawing, and you don't want them to be gigantic. I kept all of the portraits about, I want to say 12 by 15-ish, okay? When they take their reference photo, some of them, like I didn't really have a requirement for, okay, is it a square? Is it a rectangle? What I said to them was whatever it is has to be scaled up. I believe I said twice, sometimes I say 3 times, depending on how big that initial photo is, so that they're going to use their scaling up and their relationship, building skills to get the final product. So you can see some of these are square, some of them are rectangular. So as long as the square one, I would say like no shorter than 12 inches, so that we could keep the playing field level. So anyway, if you're looking at these and you're going, why are these all different sizes? That's why, because sometimes I gotta make things harder for myself. Here's your tips for success. When it comes to supplies and it comes to drawing pencils, even though drawing pencils aren't super, super expensive, they're still expensive. All right. This is pretty cost-effective unit, because I used the Blick sulfite paper. I would buy the 18 by 24 and cut it down. Everybody got 1 2B and 1 4B drawing pencil. And then of course we used the rulers, when we were doing the drawing paper setup for the features. I gave everybody 1 of each pencil at the beginning of the unit. Before we started drawing eyes, everybody got 1 of each. And I said to them, these are yours. Put them in a safe place, in your backpack, in your pencil case, wherever that might be. I'm not replacing them. So if you leave it on the table, if it falls on the floor, if you don't come back in and find it, you're responsible for bringing a pencil to class. Now, remember, this is 12 weeks into my semester. The kids know I mean business. We've done this with other things before, other media, so they know, okay, Fox don't play. I'm not getting another pencil, so I better keep after this. This eliminates, if you just have a bin on your counter where kids get a pencil and throw one back, there is no accountability there. You will have pencils all over the place. You will have pencils on the floor. You'll have broken pencils because they're not connected to that pencil. And I know that sounds really weird and a little harsh in a lot of ways, but they're just not going to be connected to it. So you have to say to them, this is yours. Now, if it gets too short, usually by about halfway through the portrait, the 2B pencil can get a little bit short for some kids. Of course, I'm going to give you another one, but you got to bring me that little short nubby pencil, and then I will give you another one. So we need to understand that we care for supplies and that we're in here, we are serious artists, and this is the way that we operate. So as far as taking your photos for the project, okay. Before I get to that, I'm going to talk to you about setting up that drawing paper. So whatever I guess they're going to have the photo first before they set the paper up. So you should probably flip those two in your mind. But once the photos are taken and the kids have their photo and they measure the photo, they crop it however they want, and they figure out how big their final paper is going to be. This day's a little chaotic because some of the kids are like, hey, I need a 12 by 18. Hey, I need a 40, because we add an inch all the way around just for a nice, clean portrait. I would go ahead and cut everybody's paper, or however whatever size. And yes, that is a little chaotic, but I just would set aside a day where we would have our presentation for the expressive portrait, which is also in the curriculum. They would understand, like what the guidelines were and all that stuff. And then we would set our paper up. So once everybody got their paper, they'd put their border on. We'd go ahead and put the quadrant across the middle if they wanted to use that method. And then we would attach their reference photo to it. And then those go in a pile to the side. Then we begin our features practice. So the reason I do that is the minute they're finished with the hair. So say somebody finishes with the hair a day earlier, their paper and their reference, they're ready to go. They're not sitting around twiddling their thumbs waiting for everybody else. They're not trying to take a reference photo. They're not, all of that front-loaded work. When you go through the features, and you could even go through a little bit slower if you wanted to. Like you could take the photos periodically throughout the features process. You're going to have kids who are absent. You're going to have kids, who come into your class, they move into the district halfway through the semester. So all of these things will throw a kink and, a wrench in the works. But as long as when they get ready to start that portrait, they have the picture and the paper ready to go, there's no lag time. I never liked any lag time. That's why I always set everything up ahead of time. Like if I'm doing, I'm going to just digress here for a minute. If I'm doing a colored pencil unit and I have everything set so that when I give the demo, the presentation, whatever, that they are ready to roll. There's no like going to find materials and things like that. If you're a brand new teacher, that's my tip for you. Have it all ready to go so that there is no lag time. When you have lag time in your classroom, that's when you have disruption. And that's when you get the kids can get a little bit on the mischievous side. As far as taking the photos, I am no photographer. Okay. If you've been around my world for a while, that is not my wheelhouse. I had a pretty decent sized supply closet, but you don't need a decent sized one. I had a desk lamp. We turned the overhead lights off and we took our photos. And I'm serious. That's all there was to it. We took them with the phone. The kids would airdrop them to me. I would print them, but don't think, oh gosh, I don't have a dark room, or I don't have a place set up. I don't have a ring light. You don't need it. You really don't need it. And all of those directions are also in the curriculum as far as how to take the right and tips for how to stay away from taking a bad photo, and really stress the importance of a full range of value. The kids had to have a value scale on every single thing I had them do, because they have to understand without a full range of value, you don't have a really realistic image. You need all the lights, all the darks, all the midtones, or everything is just going to look kind of grayed out. So my favorite classroom management tip, this is no matter what you're doing, display the work daily. When the kids are done working at the end of the class period, they go up to the wall wherever you have designated for their work to be displayed. And everybody goes up on the wall. This is from the very beginning of the semester. This is just the way we do things. But this levels up the accountability, because they know when they're finished with whatever they've done for the day, it's going up on the wall. It's not going in a folder. It's not going in a drawer. It's going up on the wall. That's the other reason I keep things kind of small, with the 9x12 or the worksheets, is you have plenty of room to display. This is going to increase their motivation. It's going to increase the quality of their work. I hear this from teachers all the time. And it's going to create an investment in the process. And investment in the process is the underlying success for the whole entire thing. Plus, you don't have to worry about storing it. It's all up on the wall. And I know, there's, you hear people have said to me, well, but what about, I don't have a lot of wall space, or I have 8 periods or whatever. Whatever wall space you have, dedicate it to the kids. I don't care what it is. Like I dedicated every inch of wall space in my room to my kids, either in progress work or finished work. It can be done. It can be done. So the real win, and if you have been in my world, you knew this slide was coming. The real win is our kids with accommodations, our kids who struggle, and our kids who in other areas of their academic life don't have a whole lot of success. So this is my pride and joy right here. Okay. Because these are my kids who, for whatever reason, don't have a lot of success in other areas of their life. And they drew these beautiful, amazing portraits using this nice, slow, scaffolded approach. And a lot of them would say to me, I didn't think I could do this at the beginning, but because I had time to work through and really practice and understand that I can do this, like Miss Fox, I can't even believe it. I'm so proud of myself. So what you see here are kids with accommodations, all levels, all varying degrees of accommodations, and kids who are struggling maybe with anxiety or other things that just really, really make life a challenge for them. And so I wanted them to have a win. I want everybody to have a win. And so here's the real win. Okay, 2 slides and we are all done. This is the unit. I know it looks very overwhelming, but I'm a visual person and I like to see what I'm getting. So this, you can see there has to be 80 plus reference images, all cultures, all, represented, everybody represented. And we have these are your worksheet options. These are your value scales. These are your tutorials. So tutorial with every single feature, upload to your student teaching platform, and you can rock and roll with it. This is a little mini project. Like if you wanted them to do a mini project before they did the big project, or maybe you don't have time for a big project and you just wanted them to do the mini project, there's a mini project in here. We got the worksheets. We have 3 presentations. We have notes on features. We have notes on portraiture. We have the project. And then we have the teacher PowerPoint. So that's all the information that you need, supplies, timeline, all of that good stuff. And then this is the discount. So if you're watching this live, this is the Saturday after Thanksgiving. On Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, Monday and Tuesday, there'll be a TPT site-wide sale. And this curriculum will be on sale for $29. But I figure, why make you wait till Monday? If you want it now, you can get it now at either that QR code or that bit.ly link. And it's not a TPT link. So if you're somebody who is not able to purchase from TPT because your district restricts that, then this is just a Google download and you don't have to worry about that. So thank you for joining me on this Saturday after Thanksgiving. If you are watching the replay, this is still on sale at this price, at this link, even if it's next Thanksgiving when you're watching this. And I just appreciate all of you so much. And thank you for being a part of my world. If you would go to mrstfoxresources.com and join my email list, that would be great. I am just bent on sending 2 emails a month. That's my goal. I used to send them every Sunday, but you know what? People are bombarded with emails. So we're going to go with 2 a month. And if you will just be, cued in on new products and discounts and all of that good stuff. But y'all are awesome. And I appreciate you being part of my world and joining me. And I hope you have a fabulous, fabulous weekend. And I hope to see you again soon. Remember, stay safe. Have a wonderful year.